take this course? I just want to understand what is the reason for you guys who has joined in this course. What is the reason for selecting this CSV? First, I want to understand that. So we have only 15 members in the session. Okay, so let's be very active. So please pay attention to the chat box. So what are you expecting to learn from this session? Of course, we will guide you more about that. But what is your interest? What makes you to understand to choose this course? I like coding and programming related things. It's good. So from the title, what you can understand? From the title, what you can understand? From the computerized system validation, what you can understand? Field which combines knowledge of biology and computer. That's wonderful. Yeah, it's true, very true. So currently the industry is having very less computer related, IT related knowledge as well as biology related knowledge. Okay, any other form, like it may be a pharmaceutical or maybe a chemistry, biotechnology. So people will be having one core knowledge, but not in the other part of the IT. Okay, but it is very mandatory. Of course, if any of you guys have been attended the previous session, I used to always repeatedly telling that in future the industry is moving towards the automation process. Okay, so every industry is moving towards the automation process. So IT field is as its own presence in any field. It can be considered as a pharmaceutical, it can be considered as a medical devices and medical equipment, diagnostic equipment. Everything will be integrated with the IT solutions, IT industry requirements. Okay, so field which combines, yes, perfect. At an industrial level, several parameters are optimized through automation. Wonderful. I hope we will learn such things in this course. Yep, you're right. So, of course, it will be very specific towards the pharmaceutical industry or medical device industry, as well as medical equipment industry, diagnostics. Okay, so all these, domain, life science domain, we call it as commonly, are influenced by the IT solutions. So everywhere we can see computerized systems in the industry. So definitely this will be a wonderful session. Who has been already having some basic knowledge in the software. Okay, not software developing. I'm not talking about the software developing, just handling the software. For example, in your college, you might be in your university, you might be used, how to perform the UV analysis or FTIR analysis, any kind of analysis. Everything is being software integrated, where you'll be doing testing. So you keep the sample and then go to the computer and start giving the parameters, methods you will be performing, selecting all the parameters in the software, and then you start the testing activity, which is enabled through the computerized system. Okay, so that's why we call it as a computerized system. So the data will be generated through the computer. That is the main purpose, right? What we have a software and we have some testing importance, maybe HPLC analysis or maybe UV analysis or FTIR, NMR, whichever you can consider. Okay, ultimately the result will be the important from that analysis. So that result, along with the result, there are many other input values, methods. You may be giving some start to end the scan. So all these input values, okay, you may be understanding. If you have any queries in that, we can discuss about that. But specifically taking, for example, HPLC, you have a volume, injection volume you have to precisely set, and UV parameters you have to set, process parameters you have to set, method parameters, column temperature. There are more than 20 to 30 different parameters to be set inside the computer in the software. So that is the reason this software validation is getting very more high concentration in the pharma industries. Why? There is always a chance the data can be manipulated. Okay, so using this software and other medical devices. Okay, most of the medical devices are being manufactured through the automated process. So there may be a chance that people will um, people will be influencing this data manipulation with the aid of the software. Okay, so that is the main point. This validation plays a vital role, which means that you should be ensuring that there should not be any breaching of data. Security of the data is very important. For example, I start a analysis by giving the value 10 ml. Okay, I'm just giving an example. Okay, then after the completion of the analysis, if 10 ml is not adequate, I could able to change to 20 ml. That's a manipulation. Okay, which means I am forcing some unwanted data into the system. The first point is the system should not allow that acceptance. Once it is started the activity, it should not allow any more edition. We can't keep on editing, right? What will happen if it is keep on editing? You're biased to provide the uh, uh, wrong informations. Okay, so it's like intendedly you're passing the results. Okay, this is the incident happened in a few years back, maybe like 10 years back even, or in many part of the world. Okay, wherever this computerized system was been like in a very initial stage, premature stage, we can say. Okay, so what happens in that case? So people started manipulating the data, so editing the data. There is no control on the data, there is no security on the data. So all people provided the fake data to the regulatory authorities without doing any analysis. They just create the data. Okay, so for example, if I done one analysis, with the one analysis data, I will be giving more fake data. Okay, so that was the situation happened, that people generated huge fake data. It will lead to a problem because medicines are used for the human consumption, right? So if there is a inaccurate data, obviously the impact is to the patients. So this is the overall purpose of inviting this computerized system validation guidelines and programs and other importance in this particular field. Okay, so this is not specifically only for pharma, it is also applicable for medical devices in a very high level. Okay, why? Because there is a lot of opportunities that there is a electronic device is available in the market, okay, which has been controlled by the softwares. Okay, also medical equipments like diagnostic equipments, CT scan. Okay, it has been integrated with the software based as well as the touch screens, SCADA systems, PLC systems, all are integrated. The behind the scene, there is some database or software package to run this all the functionalities. Okay, so in our session, we are going to see what is the regulations requirement and how we are going to, the flow of performing the computerized system validation. Usually, if you have Googled it, okay, we just a few minutes back, we tried this Google, okay, how many, of job opportunities are available. Okay, so we tried to understand that to make your knowledge aware. Okay, so we tried how many are there in the industry. So just a very real-time data. So you can see here somewhere, like there are more than, I think you can go for the Google first page, not about this. You can keep this, but still go for that. So it's your own interest. You can just Google and check how many job opportunities are available in the industry with respect to computerized system validation. Okay, just today morning we have done a quick search for you guys, and then we found that it is like 300 plus. Okay, so scroll down. Yeah, hold on. So you can see in the Google, like you have 363 computer system validation jobs, and 4,000 plus in the US, and it is more and more in Ireland. You can see a lot of opportunities, and every company has its own IT department. Okay, so every company is having its own IT department. Of course, you should be, in the position that to understand, okay, what is the real need of the computer system validation. This course session, the complete package of CSV module will be providing you the complete insight of the CSV requirement for the industry. Okay, so after going out of this session, if you're applying to any industries or consultancy services as well, because we used to also take some consultancy services with respect to computer system validation, because the lack of expertness in the industry, no one is having proper expertise in this field within the industry. Of course, they are coming up nowadays, but still it's a very risk job for them. Okay, so this course will be definitely helpful for you to find a job opportunity, because this course it's enough to have with the initial 2 years experience. Okay, so 1 year experience of freshers who knows about this basic process, immediately they will recruit. Okay, so, and one more query I got from the chat box, that programming and coding. Okay, sorry, unfortunately, here validation is something like, after completion of the coding, testing, and release. Okay, for example, if there is a software, let's take an example, HPLC. Waters Mpower 3 is one of the software. Okay, so that Mpower 3 is a software which is a version, current version is 3, earlier it was 2. That version software will be available fully for us. We can't able to go and alter the coding. That is ready to use, off the shelf. We call it as an off the shelf, which is ready to use. So if you join that kind of organization, for example, if you join Waters, which is a US based company, they develop a software for this HPLC and other GC, whatever the high-end analytical sophisticated systems. Okay, if you join them, then you can able to perform the codings. Unfortunately, if you have a background of biotech, okay, or any other life science courses, it will be difficult for you to go into the coding part. But because there is already a person who has been educated based on the coding sections, right? So they know that codings and development of the software is everything. Of course, you can develop that knowledge, but since your educational certificate states that you're from the life science background, the chance of getting that kind of coding job will be little less. Of course, now the platform is very disruptive, right? So everyone can do anything. Even life science students just go a quick course for machine learning as well as artificial intelligence, and just quickly go into the software or software related activities or job related activities. So nowadays it is nowhere there is a requirement of specific knowledge, but still the background will be always there. Background education will be always considered. So this will be a challenging when you are expecting like coding and programming related things will not be taught here, but that is a testing or developing phase of the computerized system. But we are focusing on the validation system, which is very closely related to the life science domain. So suppose if you're joining in that organization, obviously you'll be having, but coding is a different environment. Okay, some people definitely enjoy that. So you have to create your own knowledge or like this similar courses for coding that will support you. But this course will be focusing on the validation services. Okay, once everything is completed, you are going to validate. This is really interesting job as well in the industry. Okay. At industrial levels, several parameters are optimized to automation. I think we are done with that query. So that's it. Fine. Thanks for the informations or queries you have raised. So now we are going to the topic. So you understood that there is a lot of opportunities, starting from the freshers to the experienced guys. Experience with this, and what will be the future if you've been directing your career with this. you'll be placed as a IT director for the pharmaceutical related computerized systems, or vice president. So this will be a journey. If you start as a executive, senior executive, so at maybe like 10 years later, you can experience this kind of opportunities. But I hope everyone knows about the automation. Maybe next 5 to 10 years, definitely most of the thing will be automated, and Indian regulations, okay, may also expect the automation process. So opportunities are there worldwide, as well as for the Indian organization also, Indian-based pharmaceutical organization as well. So now we are going to go into the topic. I hope just now got muted, right? I think you guys have been following up with me. So I was talking about once the importance of the software, okay, is it's very important in the field of industry. I got missed where I missed out. Okay, so what we are trying to do here is that any software which is coming with the result, okay, input you're giving and output you're giving, and the process data also should be collected. So when we are designing the software, okay, the expert will be supporting them. What are the requirements in the software? And then the software printout should be providing all the related evidences. That will be the document which will be speaking about all the data of the analytical details. Okay, so in this case, every data, it should not be tampered or manipulated. So that is the controls we'll be having in the system. So the point what I was trying to say a few minutes back is that when the developing the new software is going to be developed by some organization, they know that what are all the requirements are there behind this testing part, and they will be the smart enough to provide all the required data as expected by the regulations. So once the regulation expectation has been fulfilled, obviously that software will be definitely useful in the market, right? So if it meets all the requirement of the regulation, obviously every industry who is going for that particular US or Europe market, okay, when they want to sell the product to that country, obviously they have to follow that particular device or software. So that is the interest of the designing product development or software development organizations. Okay, now whether they know that only one software they will make, okay, as a version one, and that will be used throughout the world. Okay, either it may be a either it may be a pharma industry, or maybe a clinical industry, or it may be a medical device industry as well, colleges, institutions, hospitals, everywhere. So the intensity of usage is very high in the industry, pharmaceutical or clinical, or wherever the regulated market has been involved. And the usage of software will be very, very limited, or very basic versions. You can call it as the basic versions in the college usage. Because the cost varies. When the product is called as 21 CFR Part 11 compliant, what is 21 CFR Part 11? 21 is a code, and CFR is a code for regulation, and Part 11 is exclusively for the computerized system. This is the guidelines from the FDA. Okay, when the product is being stated as 21 CFR Part 11 compliance, obviously the rate is high, the quality is high, obviously the rate is high. Okay, so in the college or wherever you're using for the testing purpose, you don't want that much high level package of software. So always the software will be coming up with a basic version and the high level version. Okay, there may be difference. There will be multi level of versions as well. They will call it as a light version, where you will be having only two users can use that. License will be provided only with two users. Okay, if it is a higher version, okay, then you will be having a full scale use of multiple license holders. Okay, why this all limitation? Because then only the computer system, no, guys will get growth, right? The business will grow, because they can't give everything for free, or everything with the most access. Even for the MS Teams, right? We have a limited access for this all webinars and other stuffs, everything. So this is the place where they will be making the profit for the company. So now the computer systems are there is a different in the software where you can use for a lower version, where the limitation is very limited for us in the college usage, and we are coming to the industry. The limitation is very, very strict to use in the industry level, which means now we are focusing on the industrial related software packages. Okay, because we need to have a lot of systematic protections as well as controls in the design of the software. For example, many things are available, and it's been understood as a security purpose, but we don't know, yes, this is a kind of a security. Let's take an example. the username and password. That is a very, very basic security system. Hope everyone knows about that. Then only the person can enter into the particular software, which means that what happens here when the person is entering particularly into that, that is the details you're getting, the name and details of your person. For example, in the industry, your name and your employee code will be captured when you're entering into the login. Okay, so that means, what is that? It is like a entry to the access for the software, which is limited. Okay, we can't able to, the other person can access your software login, or your password is not available with them, so it's been secured, so you should not share the password. These are all basic elements of the requirements in the software validations. Okay, let's see more and more in the discussions. So system means the business need to their users. Okay, of course, the need is for the compliance to the 21 CFR, and all are electronically generated documents. So definitely the purpose is to maintain the electronic records. And why we are moving from manual to the electronic? Okay, that is very, very important. It's ease the life. There won't be any manual error and transcriptional error, or developing the methods, right? Input values. If you're keeping, if there is a hundreds of input values to be fed, always there will be a chance there will be get missed. Okay, so that's why they call it as a recipe or a method, which will be once fixed and it will be logged. So just you have to select that method when you are doing the analysis. So it's a very simple process. So you don't want to every time, you don't want to type all the required parameters. Okay, so in a very complicated high level instruments, you may be finding that there are multiple parameters to be fed into the data. So once you fed the data and develop a kind of a method and save it, so that method will be remaining with all the input parameters. You have to just pull that method when you're doing some analysis. There will be a method selection, flexibility in the system, where you can take that method and you can run the process. So it's very simple. If it is in manual, you have to do every time the in feed the value and then take the reading. So manually, if you're documenting all the data, it will be very tough. Okay, to manual transcription is there. Okay, intentional error people will do. They will try to pass the result. All these things will come into the picture. But when it has been in the system, it is always input value will be registered, which cannot be tampered or edited. That is the purpose of moving towards the computerized solutions always. Okay, continue to operate correctly and reliable throughout their life. Of course, it's a one-time solution. Once you fix, it will be doing the same exercise every time. Of course, there will be a limitation in the new software. Whenever the new software comes, you might be seen that, right? So it will be not fully matured. So the software will get everyday maturity by learning more and more. So it's a continual improvement process. So not to worry about that. Whatever the software exists now, okay, it may be looking now as a very simplified version, but it will keep matured. So it's very, very similar to the app what we are downloading, right? So maybe the current version will be, when we use to that, it will become old and not giving much information. But there will be always a team behind that to work and develop it. That is the continuous improvement. That is the R&D of the particular organization. So they will come up with a new concept and add on features which will support us. Similarly, the software company for life science domains also will work. They will be keep working on the improvement process. That is the revenue for them. Okay, so in this way only they will create a revenue by selling the upgraded version. Okay, of course that should be matured from the older version. Always there should be some difference. If it is same data is there, but very minute changes are there, that is not going to solve the problem for us, right? So this is the place where the upgradation also available for the industries, software developing industries. So FDA regulations. FDA is generally a Food and Drug Authority. Okay, administration also we can call it as. Food and Drug Authority ensures the quality of drug products by carefully monitoring drug manufacturers' compliance with the current good manufacturing practices. Of course, it's a responsibility of the authority. Either it can be US or India, maybe Australia. So it's their authority that to monitor the products are compliantly manufactured in the environment maybe you're using manual method or automated method, definitely it should be complying to all the regulations required. The CGMP regulations for drug contain minimum requirement for the methods, facility, and controls used in the manufacturing, processing, and packing of a drug. So where are all we can use the computerized system? Any guess? Please be alert in the chat box. Where all we can use? Because now we are closely talking about the QC part, right? But there is many other parts of the industry or the process of the industry where we can use the automated system. So any guess you can throw in the chat box. Where are all we can use the computer aided support? You start from the process, from the material. For an organization, what is important? Of course, you have a department, okay, where QA, QC, everything is there. Warehouse is there. Hope everyone knows the material will come from the warehouse, right? From the other supplier, it reaches to the site, and you have a warehouse. So there is a software called warehouse management system. Okay, material management system. What is material management system? Whatever the incoming materials are managed accordingly to the requirement. What to be managed there, whether it is coming from the right person. So it is controlled through the system. There will be a right item code, okay, material code. So everything should align or match with the existing database. The database is generated inside, right? And you are maintaining the database, and whenever the incoming material comes, it will verify. So this is the material management system. So the warehouse will be having material management system. What additionally the material management system can do, it will identify where the material has been kept. Okay, for example, let's consider a very huge facility with thousands of materials are placed. We don't know where it has been placed. Nowadays, the dispensing system is also automated, which means just you have to give the information to the system, and then the data will go and pick the once you give the data, it will go and pick the material and come and give it to the dispensing area. So which has been completely automated and robotic managed. So the person will not go and pick the material from the respective place based on the data, item code, and barcoding system, QR coding system, everything. Once you fixed it, okay, the automated machine will go, robotic kind of hand machine will go and pick the product and come back to the your dispensing place. Okay, so this is the advancement in the field of material management system. Okay, then what can be the additional material management system advancement? We call it as first in, first out. What do you mean by first in, first out? Any material which should come inside the premises, it should go out first, right? Which means it should be consumed. If I buy something, take an example, you buy a chocolate. Okay, today you buy chocolate and tomorrow you buy chocolate. What you will do? You consume the previous chocolate because it's been already a little old, right? So that is a similar way. When you consume something by today, it will be considered for the first use rather than the next one. Okay, this is one concept. This is called first in, first out. This will be controlled through the what is this called? The automation process, a software-based process. And the very next is very, very important. The expiry, right? All products will have its own expiry. So when you invert, okay, material, for example, paracetamol drug, okay, you're getting, and it has been having an expiry, very short expiry, like it will be expired in the September 2021. And you have another expiry. Of course, I'm just giving an example. Let's take, it won't be a very short, like 2 months like that. Let's take an example that September 2024 is going to the expiry for this, and another product is September 2025. Okay, so which is the first expiry? 2024 is the first expiry. So your system will automatically pick the first expiry to be consumed. So if you have thousands of material, it is very difficult for the manual operation to check which is going to be the first expiry. Okay, if I have keep on adding the inventory, for example, I have already 10 boxes, different lot, and now I am adding more 20, 30 boxes. it will be manually very difficult, and there is a lot of chance of error. But once you program it, once you feed this information into the system will alert you that this is the priority to be expired. So please use this material as early as possible. So that will be rated in the first two consumption. So automatically the automated process will go and pick that product and come and give for the dispensing. Okay, I am talking about the advanced situation now in the industry. Right now, the everything is like the system, material management system, or SAP. You heard about SAP, right? So this will provide you the data. Yes, this item code is going to expire on this year. Okay, and then you have to go manually and take that data, means take that product. So that is the 90% system, 90% companies using this kind of process, automated process. Okay, but I'm talking about the worldwide concept. Okay, not the Indian concept. In India, still the domestic manufacturers are managing a manual process. It will be a tough process. Of course, the quality is still less in the operation part. That is the improvement we have in the future in the industry, in the Indian pharma industry. Okay, it will one day it will get matured like the US or European regulations. We are expecting that. But 90% of the regulated market, we call it as a regulated market when you're doing manufacturing for US, Europe, and all, right? So those companies are already been establishing this kind of progress, and they're still making what is the best to avoid the error, because the purpose of medicine manufacturing, there should not be any manipulations or integrity of data, everything. So this is to the step towards the error reduction process as well. A productivity is there, profitability is there, everything comes into this for the company's growth. And you are very free, risk-free environment for you guys, right? So there won't be any risk that oh, I forgot to use that material, got expired. So once it got expired, that is no value. You lost your money there, right? So everything will be solved with this information solutions, IT solutions. That is important. Okay. So the approval process for new drugs, new and generic marketing application includes a review of the manufacturing compliance. These are all general terminologies to tell about the importance of the software industry. Okay, so now we saw something on the warehouse system, right? And now what happens? The material has been picked, and we are moving towards the next place, production. Okay, the material is now moved to the production area. All barcoding or scanning or QR code, what kind of advancement? That process should be validated, which means the material is being picked by the proper material management system. That process should be validated. Yes, if it is, I gave an expired data has been coming in the top for the prompting the information for us. This is the validation. When the computer is doing some activity and it has been configured inside to do that particular intended activity, and we are validating it, a kind of verification or validation. What is validation? We are challenging that methodology. We are challenging that configured activity. If I'm telling, pull the expired material on the top list, the data should be generated and provided. So the use of the software, the particular piece of activity, what we mentioned in that URS, we call it as a user requirement specification. What is that? I need a list of activities. First in, first out should be listed for me. First expiry, first out should be listed for me. All these inputs, okay, will be processed by the system and given as an output as a result, right? You know this basic computer concept. You're giving some input, getting the process done by automated process by the software, and then the output is coming. So this is very important in the pharma industry, that all these chain starts from the login. Okay, if you log in with three or five wrong password, it should get logged. That also should be validated. Okay, once you fix, there will be some permission rights, I believe you people might be knowing in the systems. For example, if I want to keep 3 wrong passwords, I can enable it only for 3 passwords. 3 wrong passwords is allowed. I can enable it for 5 password allowed. It can go 5 times wrong password. Okay, I can make the strength of the password as well. For example, complex password with the combination of all the symbols or the caps, numerics, numerical values, whatever may be. So all I can design in the configuration, which can be enabled, disabled by the admin rights. Okay, admin is very, very important here. Admin have the complete control on the software. So admin should protect the other users. It's a basic terminology. I hope you can recollect from all this usage of the computerized systems or softwares, right? When you, let's take an example. When you have your mobile banking, right? You'll be, if you're giving a wrong password, it will be prompting only for three times. You can give the wrong password. What happens after 3 times? If you give a wrong password, it will be blocked for the day. Okay, because why they keep that concept for the blocking for the day, so that anytime you are out of your premises or somewhere you keep the record in a confidential place, you have a time to go back and check that and do it in the right time again. So once it is blocked initially, maybe like few years back, once it is blocked, you have to go to the banking and then call them and ask for the permission. But now system got matured that they've given a 1 day time with 3 wrong passwords allowed for 1 day. Okay, so you have to wait till midnight, and then next day you can try. Obviously, it will work because the program is set like that to make your prompt for the next day once the 3 password has been blocked. So your account will be blocked for that midnight, and that tomorrow it will be open. So meanwhile, you should be able to guess your password or retrieve your password. That's your headache. Of course, once you forget the password completely, even anywhere you go, you can't able to trace out the password. Then there is another chance for you to give forget password. So the same concept is available here. Okay, but the forget password will not be here. Your password will be again assigned by the administrator. The very first time they will give their password, and once you get the password, obviously you might be knowing that there will be a new password creation. Why? Because the first password is being known to other person as well. The person who is giving is knowing the password to you, right? The admin knows the password, so he is having anytime access to manipulate the data on behalf of you. So the system does not trust the admin because everyone is a human. Even the admin is not a god, right? He's a human. So the prompt is given, provide the old password, confirm with new password and new password, repeat the new password. Okay, hope everyone knows about this. So these are all for the security, information security, data banking security. Similarly, the data security in the pharma industry. Okay, so these are the things we'll be validating in our pharmaceutical softwares. So you'll be having login details, you'll be having process details, method details, everything. Maybe like if you come, once we complete the computer system validation package, it runs around about 400 to 500 pages, depends upon the complexity. Okay, we have to take every screenshot of all these details in maybe in the few class later. Okay, at the end of the last 5 to 6 classes, you'll be having all these screenshots which we performed at different sites will be shown to you as an example. Okay, so that is the complete scenario of the computer system validation. The very good thing is people are still lacking the knowledge in this part, in this, because people are very reluctant with the computer system. Why? Something goes wrong, the very first thing mind will come in the mind is something will go wrong if I do something. Okay, they'll be fear to provide the password multiple times. We know that, okay, 5 times you make it, it will be logged, fine, you'll be getting another option to get open. But people are scared to do much challenges with the existing computerized systems. Why? They fear that they will be getting documented somewhere. Of course, there is a process of audit trail. People will be aware what is audit trail, right? Audit trail is nothing but the sequence of activity in a chronological way, who done, what done, which was changed to which, how it was done, everything, okay, will be captured. Okay, which means you deleted some file. You should not have the permission to delete, because as an analyst or as an operator, you should not have a permission to delete. But if you deleted, the audit trail will capture. So that is the important data, sequential data will be reviewed at any point of time to know what really happens to the data generator. Okay, for example, if you if you are in a first shift, okay, you are trying other one's password. 5 times you logged and checked, failed. 5 times it has been logged. Okay, then they will cross verify. This person has given 5 times login and failed, but that person was not there at that time. Then it shows that someone tried to tamper the data on behalf of his other person. It's kind of a doing a manipulation, right? You're not an authorized person to do that activity, which means you're not authorized to use the other's login, but you have tried the login. So that way they will able to identify the issues, and it will be really helpful for the investigation. That is the audit trail. Hope everyone knows what is audit trail. Okay, if anyone doesn't know, please ping. We can discuss a little more on that part as well. Okay, so these are the basic regulatory requirements when it has been initiated. And now we are coming to the what is 21 CFR Part 11. As I mentioned, 21 CFR Part 11 is the guideline from the US FDA to ensure all the required computerized system regulations. This is very, very old, I can say. Definitely in maybe next few years, it will get revised with more advancement. Okay, so always be alert. This is an existing guideline. There is always scope for the improvement. Where the scope of the improvement will come? By continuous learning, by the organization who tells the issues to the companies, the manufacturing companies or software designing companies. They will collect these trend data, what really the problems the organization and the analyst or the managers or the regulatory environment facing the challenges. So every challenge is the opportunity for the growth, right? So they will pick all these challenges and make a matured software and release as a next software version. So this is the growth for the software industry. Always there will be a continual improvement. Okay, and of course the guidelines also get improved and make themselves stringent. So once getting more stringent and stringent, the opportunity for software validation experts will go more and more. Okay, it's not a one-time activity. The reason the software is upgraded, obviously you have to do the computer system validation. Okay, this is a one piece of activity, but it will be like it will be one piece of activity, but it will be a repeated activity until you go for the modification or change of the software. You have to change the software. Obviously, you have to do this validation. Okay, we are not speaking one software. Please be make very clear in the mind. There is more than 100 software in a single company. Okay, we started with the warehouse, right? I stopped there. I'm coming. Let's do again for the production area in some other scenario. I'll just explain on that part. So this is a sequence. So I started with the warehouse. I told what are the warehouse softwares are there. Even for learning management system, we have thousands of employees. Let's say 500 to 1,000 employees are there. How a person will track that this person has been completed the training on this part? Okay, we have a entry exit, means attendance record now. So we know that okay, these are the people entered and this time and went off this time. So this is a database for us, right? When we are doing the training, digital training. So similarly, if you have thousands of people and thousands of chapter to be get trained, training is very mandatory in the industry. So this automation solves multiple problems like missing of training, or the person is forget to train, or how much is scored actually in the training. So all these evidence will be parked as a electronic data in the system. So whenever any auditor comes, they can easily open the software in front of them with their login or common. There should not be a use of any common login, but for the visitors, you can give some permission. You can create by that time a new login only for the short time. How we are using the SharePoint. Because of this all pandemic situation, we transfer the data through the SharePoint or any other cloud system. So they will be giving the access, okay, only view, download, or whatever may be the controls. That is called permissions. That is called privileges. What is privileges? These are the set of rules, okay, set of activities like deleting, modifying, creating, run the analysis. Okay, these are all the features will be given through a permission. For example, the operator should start the program and run the process, but the reviewer who is going to review the document should not have the running the program, because if he runs, there is always possibility he runs the program, he also check the program. So that should not be there. Always there should be a locking system. If one person doing the activity, the other person who is checking the document should not have the permission to do the activity, because at one point of time in the permutation and combination, he may do the activity, he may check the activity by his own. So that is not the right way, right? If I do something and I check something, then that will be obviously error free, because I won't do a proper check. I will hide my own mistakes. So that's why all the industry is having a basic common sense. If one person done the activity, always it will be verified by the next person. The same person will not follow. So this is the review mechanism. So that way the privileges or permissions are controlled for the reviewing process. Okay, deleting. Who should have the deleting access? In my knowledge, no one will have the deleting access until you have the database can be secured in the format of server, or it may be taken in the hard drive and restore it. If suppose the particular PLC or SCADA system is overloaded with the memory, okay, you are not allowed to delete, but you will be having an automatic data transfer system to the server periodically. So every day, automatically at the midnight, it will be programmed. Okay, it will be scheduled. Okay, automatically scheduled or manually scheduled. It depends upon the thing. For how an IT person can do a manual scheduling if you have hundreds of software? It is very difficult for the persons. So they will put an automatic scheduling that every midnight 12 o'clock, it should go and saved in the server. So these are all the features that will be validated. For example, if I'm doing a scheduling process, I will ensure that, yes, I made the scheduling with the screenshots I used to prove that this is the scheduling and this is the path and this goes and reside at this location. How many volume? I have 1 GB of data here, which has been planned for the day. You have to challenge it whether 1 GB is been there. So that is the validation. You're making some program to perform the activity, and the activity is performed or not. We are validating. This is called validation. So please bear in mind that everything is configured here. Okay, everything is ready to use here. The software is ready to use, but it will be having a factory setting. We call it as a factory setting, right? Also in the mobile, we'll be having a factory settings. So once the factory setting is coming, you are giving your own settings. Who can be allowed to do the activity? Who is allowed to do this review activity? Who is allowed to do the deletion activity? So once you're setting these parameters, you are challenging that particular parameter. That is called computer system validation. Okay, please pay attention, guys. The whole topic is about this one single word. Okay, you are setting the parameters, and that is a factory setting is given without any particular settings. Okay, the permission is open to all. Anything you can do. Okay, now you're providing the settings based on the procedures of your internal organization. Okay, once you set all these parameters, okay, then you're validating. In nutshell, this is the process of computerized system validation. But what is the requirement for setting the parameters? There the expertise will come, because as an IT person, you don't know. As a software person, no one knows, because companies are different. Company have different strategies, their own quality improvement systems. Some people will have ITQA. ITQA means nothing but the person who is excellent with the which means experience with the IT knowledge in the QA platform. So that's why we gave a course, QA separately, GMP separately, QC and CSV. The reason is CSV is common for every chapters, because it's been automated in the future everywhere, right? Already it's been automated. It's going to be a full-fledged automation in future. I think in the last previous classes, I mentioned about one of the industry, GSK, which is very close to Karnataka. Okay, so that site is fully automated in the Asian region. Okay, everything is automated there. So the company spent a huge number of investment to make the complete process automated, which means, as I mentioned, the material system will be automatically pulled, production will be automatically performed, everything is database. Only the limited number of manpowers will be there always. Okay, so that is the scenario for the automations. So future, definitely many companies will come up, because it reduce the error. That is important in the field, in pharma field, also in the automotive industry. Okay, you can't have many errors, right? Because it's a life again. When you're driving the car, if something goes wrong, nowadays we are getting all unmanned car, right? So all these needs a validation. We call in the computer system validation, and we have own guidelines. And similarly, they will be having their own validation strategies in the automotive industry as well. They will call as a, after development, testing will be there. Okay, so it is a testing part from them. We call it as a validation, because it's a stringent regulation from us, because it's a product. We, if anything goes wrong in the product, the product will reach to the market in lakhs. There will be like 1 lakh tablet or 1 lakh injections. So if 1 lakh injection will go to 1 lakh people, then the risk is more compared to the failure in the automotive, right? Failure in the automotive, okay, 1,000 cars have been sold. Of course, definitely it's not going to happen. 1,000 cars will be sold at the same time, but the model will remain same. So they will do a recalling, right? If anything goes wrong. Similarly here also, if anything goes wrong, we have to recall. So this is a very risk process, and human life is involved in this. So that's the reason, very, very careful the companies are taking this subject, computer system validation. So this is the right time for you guys. If you get more information on this part, definitely you will be the position, you will be in the position in the organization to lead the execution process. Once you start leading or being a part of the team, you can mature and go to the next level. You can take a complete in charge of the department by your getting more knowledge in this field. So that's why this basic session will drive you to that level. Okay, now back to the regulations. 21 CFR Part 11 allows the industry to use electronic records and signatures. So what is electronic record? Any input, processing, output value converted into the formatting. Okay, all data will reside. Once you print out, it will be turned into the manual record. Okay, manual paper print. Okay, until that, it will be in the form of electronic data. There will be some extension of file like .met, something like a method, .dll, something like a file. Of course, when you open the data, you can find some, analog, sorry, not analog, what do you call it, is a binomial data, right? Something like that. So it will be, you can't read the data until all data coming together. Why they kept that kind of security? Because you can't able to go and tamper the software within the files. Okay, so that is the reason all data will be secured in a different format, where we can't see the real data values inside the files. It will be somewhere hidden. Only you can see some extension file names. That's it. You can't able to delete as well. Why you can't delete? It has been well protected. Okay, the permissions are not allowed for the simple user. Super users will be having the permission. Who is the super user? Mostly only the IT admin will be the super user, or some extent they will give to the QA. Even QA cannot able to delete the record. Okay, if they delete, there should be a proper justification to be written. Okay, so that is the requirement of the electronic record and signature. What is the electronic signature? Hope you know that. Manual signature is using the pen. Electronic signature obviously will be coming with the username and your password. So whenever there is a critical steps in the software or in the process, definitely it will ask for the acknowledgement, right? This step is done by the person. So it will ask for the acknowledgement. You have to provide the username and the password at the specific important step. Who will decide that? The company will decide. The factory setting remains open. Anywhere you can plug and play. The company will set this. I need the electronic signature at this step. For example, step number 3, I need it. Step number 5, I need it. So once you enable this, step number 3 and step number 5 for the electronic signature, your prompting, once you complete the step number 3, should enable the electronic signature request. If it is not enabled, then it's a mistake of the software. Why? You selected the step 3 to enable, and it is not enabling us at the step 3. then there is a software error. Okay, then you have to go back to the vendor and you have to discuss, and then the vendor will come back and give you some solution. If any major issue is there, definitely the product will get failed, right? Which means the product here is the software. If they can't address, okay, that will get, the software will fail. You can't able to manage that requirement at that position. Guys, please follow with me. If you lose somewhere, we'll be, missing the complete scenario. So because I'm giving a complete information, what will be in the CSV chapter. Okay, so 21 CFR Part 11 applies to all FDA regulation environment for perfect when using computers in the creation. See, all these words are very, very important, and it will be interpreted differently by different user ends. Okay, so this is the challenge in the industry, because reading between the lines, I will interpret a different way. Some other company will interpret in a different way. So that's why there is a difference in the software as well. They can't make it unique common software because of the interpretation requirements and the company's own policy requirements. So when using computers, okay, in the creation, okay, creation is something like you're creating some process modification, which means in future you may be modifying the process for the maturity of the process. Archiving, which means your process should be archived. All the input values, processing values, output values should be archived. Okay, retrieval, which means retrieve the archived data back, which means you have to, whatever the data is retrieved in some other location, when you're pulling back, that complete data should come back to the execution. Okay, that is a retrieval. Sometimes you go and save some data in your, from mobile to phone, sorry, mobile to your laptop or computer, and then you are pulling back. Sometimes there will be error, you can't able to open. Okay, which means there is some supporting files are getting missed. So if you miss the supporting files, obviously you can't able to retrieve the data perfectly. Okay, that is the situation. So retrieval is a complete set of data files should be come back. And very important thing is you should have a compatible software version. For example, I have a software version 2 and I retrieve. Now I have a software version 3 or 4, which cannot able to make the retrieval because that is a old one, right? So that's why many companies are putting the very clear platform in a position that any data which has been from the previous or maybe from 3 to 4 generation back should also be retrievable and accessible. So retrieval is very, very important topic in the pharma industry, because you have to reproduce and provide the data to the inspectors or whoever needs the data. Sometimes if anything goes wrong in the product, the person will ask to retrieve and give the data. Sometimes there is a crash in the software or any damage or fire accident, you may be losing the complete information. That's why we need a server, right? Backup server. Sometimes you heard about that. Some companies will have the server which will operate in India, but they have the server in Singapore. Many top companies have their Singapore server because of the data security system. Many times you heard about the data, stolen from different companies. Someone has hacked the data. So all these are, once the growth is there in the field of IT, similarly, there is a growth in the field of IT for hacking the data as well. So this is a reason where we need all the firewall protection, control, security, everything comes into the picture. That is the purpose of retrieval or transmission of records, okay, data or records. So transmission in the sense you are migrating from one location to other location and you're using that. For example, if I'm working from India, I may give access to the person who sits in the US to review the document, because we are globalized. Some products we do for US market from India. So the client may ask, I want to see the real-time data of the HPLC which is running in your system, because they want to see that how the product behaves. So in that case, you have to give a real-time access to them so that they will be given with the login and other credentials. Then they open and they will check. Okay, this is the requirement in the field. The next point is about to record required by predicate rules, GLP, GCP, GMP, that impact patient safety. So apart from this 21 CFR Part 11, we should always comply the requirements which has been dictated in all these guidelines says. GLP stands for good lab practice. GCP stands for good clinical practices. GMP, good manufacturing practices. So any company, any field, any domain can able to comply with these regulations, apart from the whatever is listed in this. So purpose of part 11, ensure data is not corrupted or lost. Obviously, any data should not be corrupted or lost, because intentionally some people will tell, so we lost the data. Okay, that should not happen. Okay, there is a situation, you may be lost because of a software crash or something goes wrong, but there will be a software server should not leave the data to loss. Worst case, you can lose 1 day data, which means nowadays people are coming up with the real-time backup, which means that once you complete the analysis, if you click save here, there will be one copy residing in your computer, the other copy resides in the server, which means there is no loss of even 1 minute data. But many companies still follow with the 1 day data, because if you lost 10 days or 100 days data, what happens? All the tests you have to come retesting again, which is a huge cost. Okay, so that's why they want to limit the loss, not only the data loss, it's also the company loss, profit loss. If you don't have the data for the last 1 month, all the batch cannot be released. So it's a huge loss in the company. So that's why the data loss has always been protected as a very high priority. Okay, data is secure. So you have to ensure that your data is highly secure. So that is very, very important. So approvals cannot be replicated. All approvals cannot be rejected. Without any proper documentation, you cannot bypass or manipulate and reject the data. Okay, changes of data can be traced. Any change what you do should be traced. That is very, very important. Okay, traceability is one of the important in the industry, because we may be talking about 10 years back data, 2 years back data, 3 years back data. Somewhere you have to try to attempt that, get the data within a short time. So traceability is very important. Attempts to falsify record, this is something like a manipulating the record, are made difficult and can be detected. Are made difficult is nothing but your permission controls. Okay, you can't allow a person to access to the tampering the data or editing the data or manipulating the data. And if they have a, wherever there is a loophole, definitely there will be some loopholes, right? So that should be protected. If it is made difficult, can be detected. Okay, it should be difficult to do that falsification. If they done that, it should be detected through audit trial process. So this is a, this is a guideline looks. I think anyone can able to access the data. This is guideline. It is free of cost in the internet. Okay, we just go and type part 11 electronic records. The US FDA website will open with this in their template. That's it. Okay, this is just a pull of information from that to here. That's it. You can anytime if you have a doubt, you can just go through that. Even now, okay, even now, the industry people will open and check for any clarification, because reading between the lines. So the interpretation will vary every time. That's the reason people will be accessing this, and this is available free in the internet access. Okay, subpart A, general provisions, talks about scope, implementation, and some definitions as a general terminologies. And subpart B about the electronic records, controls of closed system, controls of open system, signature manifestations. Okay, that is something like e-signature, and signature record linking. So linking the record with the electronic signature wherever we want, as we discussed a little earlier. So subpart C talks about the general requirements again about the electronic signatures, electronic signature components and controls. What should be the components in the electronic signature components? Control of identification codes or passwords. Okay, so they'll be dictating, limiting that. See, this 21 CFR Part 11 is a regulation. It's a dictating words. You have to comply. This is a regulatory requirement. If you fail to comply, you are in a problem. They'll be issuing you a warning letter. If you want to see any CSV or computer system related warning letters, you can always Google
CSV related warning letters, computer system related warning letters. If you put, there will be thousands of data, what kind of manipulations the company has done. You can see those evidences there. Okay, so that is the issues or inefficiency of the companies with the observations. So now we are going about the scope. Of course, electronic records to be trustworthy, okay, reliable, and generally equivalent to the paper records. So it should be very similar to the paper record, but should extract all the required details. There will be a provision for you to design your own template. Okay, everything is not fixed in a factory setting. So factory setting is available. You can do any possible settings as per your requirement. For example, I want to create my own logo in my system, in my reporting, right? So I have a place there, logo can be pulled, like how we are defining the Google Forms. Very similar to that. You can create your own template. For example, I want to create the template for UV. What are all the parameters is mandatory. There will be 10 to 20 data available. Just pull the data and fix the template. Very simple. This is the advancement. Initially, it was very difficult chapter for defining. The company, the supplier itself designed the template. Okay. Now the option is given with the template creation, which helps the person who can create their own template, like our Google Forms, something like that. So records in electronic form that are created, modified, maintained, archived, retrieved, and or transmitted, okay, will be covered in the scope. Electronic signature to be equivalent to full handwritten signature, which means anyone doing the electronic signature is authenticating that the complete activity is performed by you. Okay, it should not be that one person started the activity and you have done the remaining activity. No, that is not accepted. Electronic records may be in use in lieu, which means instead of paper record. Of course, there is always a alternation. Nowadays, paper records are being getting reduced and moving towards the electronic records. Okay. Computer systems, of course, includes the hardware and software and other accessories as well, like printers or whatever may be. Implementation for records required to be maintained but not submitted to the agency. Of course, this is not only for the submission to the agency, because nowadays what are the documents you are submitting to the agency also come as a electronic version. Just you have to prepare the record and upload it. That will go to them. So everything is being, like, integrated with the IT solutions. Okay, so there are some for records submitted to the agency. The requirements of this part are met. So as I told, anything submitting to the agency also should comply these regulations: electronic signature, control of the data, retrievable or accessible, and transmission, everything. Document to be submitted have been identified in the public folder docket, which has been given from the FDA as well. So definition, agency means here authorities, that is very clear. Biometrics, I hope everyone knows what is biometrics. Individual identification, either it will be measured by your face, or maybe your eye scanning, iris scan, or maybe your thumb impression as well. Closed system, what is closed system? Means an environment in which system access is controlled by a person who are responsible for the content of electronic record, okay, that are on the system, which means some inputs you are giving and you're owning that data which is in your control, which is in your access, which is in your user ID and password control. That is closed system. Digital signature, which is something means like an electronic signature. Sometimes it is like your name, or sometimes it is your employee ID or any identification, or with some more features. For example, your name with the second name will come, as well as your short name will be there. Some unique identification for the particular person. Okay, that is the digital signature. Electronic record means any combination of text, graphics, data, audio, even pictorial or other information representation in digital form that is created, modified, maintained, archived, retrieved, or distributed by a computer system. So any form of information, okay, everything will be a part of the electronic record. Okay, sometimes they call it as a metadata. Something that is metadata is nothing but additional accessory data, for example, the templates or the name of the person, everything which will be built within the software. Okay, somewhere this will be lying, that is called metadata. Open system, we saw about closed system, and this is open system, means an environment in which system access is not controlled by person. So it is not, there is no any limitation from individual user. It is open to all, so people, anyone can access, but it will be tracked and traced. Audit trail will capture. So that is the open system. Multiple use, we can keep it as like a multiple using environment. Controls for closed system, of course, in a closed system, controls designed to ensure the authenticity. It's very important. Okay, data authenticity is the very important word. Integrity and, when appropriate, the confidentiality of electronic records. Okay, validation of the system. Okay, what is the validation of system? The complete exercise what we are going to learn from all these sessions is the validation of the system. Accurate and complete copies. So any copies, any duplication of the files should be accurate and complete. There should not be any missing of file during this data migration or data transfer or data retrieval, whatever may be. So that will result in the missing of data, and when missing of data, the reproducibility of report will not generate adequately. Okay, if suppose you are missing a valid data, the industry will think you are intentionally doing something wrong. But of course, it's a limitation of the software. Then that's not your mistake. It's a software originated mistake. But your position is to ensure that when you buy this software, whether I can able to retrieve it in an adequate way, adequate manner. Okay, accurate and complete copies. I can able to reproduce the data. Okay, so this will be the validation service we will be performing in the systems. Okay, you will be getting trained on that activities. That's the intention. Okay, protection of records by readily retrievable, limiting system access, audit trials. Okay, controls, again is control, the count is moving ahead. Operational system checks, as I mentioned, we have to check the operational steps, whether the flow is as defined and as being performed. Basically, the software developer will do their own testings, okay, or troubleshooting, because they have their own software quality manual. So there is a quality assurance in the software development as well. There is a lot of regulations for them even. Any software developer should comply that software procedures, means the manuals, like how we are reading all these elements, right? They also have the guidelines and regulation to release the software into the market. So without that check compliance, they won't release. So you will be confident that 90%, I can say even 80 to 90%. There is always a 20%, mistakes are there even in a well-versed mature software as well. Okay, so 80% of the software will have a thorough screening check from their internal testing and validating phase. So there will be a software testing, developing, testing, and validating phase. Okay, but that validation is a very end-to-end validation. Maybe they'll be having some automated tools to verify the programming, coding, and any other errors or any other viral impact is there, virus can come. So all these validation is also there, managed through their own regulation, set of regulations. Okay, after all this screening only the product is launched with the software, right? So now you're buying that software. You know that this software is very highly used in the industry. There are I can name it like 10 to 15 softwares are very highly popular in the industry. Even that may have some problem when they are coming up with the new solutions, new process, right? Then only they can be able to go matured in that particular system. Obviously, anything comes in the new to the field will have some basic mistakes, but that will be the rectification in the streamlining or continual process. So operation system checks will be done initially, but still they give you the factory settings. So you are going to set your own in-house settings. Okay, so suppose you are doing in-house settings, you know that this is fixed. Okay, then you are doing the operational system checks. That is the operational system checks. Authority checks, whatever we told about the permissions, who has to enter as who can log in as a supervisor, who can log in as a author, okay, who can log in as a admin. Okay, you know that admin have access similar to our WhatsApp group. Admin can do anything, deleting, modifying, controlling, everything. But as a user, you can't able to do anything. Just you can come and go. That's it. So this is the authority checks. So it will be very high level detailed in the pharma sector because of the criticality of the testing and process related automation softwares. Device terminals and checks. For example, device check, somewhere you'll be having input output. Okay, for example, there is a SCADA system, there will be a pH in the reactor. The pH will sense the value and gives the output here. So input is coming as a value and output will come as a result. For example, pH is 4.5, then it trigger whether I have to add some more solution to make to pH 7, or I have to reduce to make the pH to 2. So this is something related to the device check, which is giving input and output. Let's take an example. If you are connecting the software with the printer, so that is the device again, right? So it should be properly connected, and that software should be compatible, which means the what is this called, printer should be compatible to take the data. So all these are required because we have an experience when we are doing software validation. Some printers will not compatible with some device, so they have to make that particular printer. So that's why the supplier of the software will recommend, these are the, in the user manual they will recommend these are the compatible printers can be used for this device, or they will supply the add-on accessory printer also together with that, so that there won't be any miscommunication between the device and the software. Okay, so that is that. Education, training and experience. Okay, that is very important. That is the one we are doing now as a pre-training for you guys before you're entering into the industry. This is very important because till many, I can say about 80% of the even 10 plus years of experience guys doesn't know about the computer system validation. Okay, so you are getting this training from the experts. It's very wonderful for you guys that you are getting this knowledge, even you don't have much industrial exposure. Okay, but I'm giving the training based on your basic experience, what you gained in the college or universities, by giving an examples of your UV or FTA or whatever you're using. So please pay attention when you're going next time to the college or going for any kind of laboratory activities. Whatever you do, that is through the software. But I believe you won't have any login or something in the software in your college because it's open to all. So you don't want to go and log in. Just open the window will start giving you the reading information. That is because there is no need of any control or confidentiality. But when you're coming to the regulated market, you need all those services, all those importance. Written policies, of course, everything should be well-written policies or guidelines or SOPs to be followed. Documentation, as I mentioned, all the generated informations, input, process, output data or documents, distribution of documents, access and system operation and maintenance document, everything to be well controlled, revisions and change control to be well managed. So validation of systems. Okay, so now this is a hot topic. Validation of system is to ensure accuracy, which means the intended use. What is subject that has been approved. Okay, then you want you can rely on that reliability, consistent, and intended performance. Okay, I use this word, right? Intended use. That is everywhere in the industry as well as in the regulatory guidelines, regulatory documents as well. Okay, consistent, intended, performance. The three words bring everything in the requirement. For this three word, you're doing a 500 to 1000 pages of data. That is called computerized system validation, and the ability to discover invalid or altered records. So if anyone tamper the record, for example, I use something, I done the analysis, I just want to change the result because my result is failed. Okay, I can't do everything process. I don't have a sample or whatever may be the situation. I want to go and tamper the data. That it should not be allowed. That is wrong practice. it should not be in the system, because it's not your mistake. There is a system related mistake. Okay, don't think any mistake is yours. It's a process related mistakes. Okay, if you're done some mistake, of course you have to accept that by the time and don't repeat the mistakes. Okay, so the ability to discover invalid or altered record is very, very important, because you should not given a chance to tamper the data. I think last class also I gave some examples that a few years back, Volkswagen has done the carbon emission testing data manipulation. Okay, that's a German-based company. Okay, Germans, they are Germans. Even they are doing a data manipulation. People have worldwide, there is a concept. US people will think that data manipulation is very high in China and India. Okay, but it is equally also there in US as well as in European region. So everyone is tampering the data for the sake of someone benefit. It may be a cost benefit, it may be any other benefit. Of course, Volkswagen may not done that. Maybe their subcontractors may be done that. We don't know. But ultimately, the name got spoiled with this Volkswagen. So this is the situation. So your name will be corrupted when you have done something like a falsification of data. There are many companies got this kind of serious warning letters. They stopped the business. They penalized everything. Why there is a difference in India and China is huge in population as well as huge in the market. So obviously we'll be getting 100 people are working, obviously we'll get 100 problems, right? In US and Europe they'll be limited, so obviously there will be less. Of course, the openness is there in the Europe and US culture. Okay, the word saying no is very much dominant in Europe and US culture compared to Indian culture. We don't say no as quickly, right? We will be always try to do the best, and we will get caught somewhere. So you should not get overloaded, so that you do your job right. Okay, when you get overloaded, overstressed, obviously there will be mistakes. So these are all the human error issues which we discussed in the previous class. I think some might be attended or not. Okay, so accurate and complete copies, as we discussed, the ability to generate accurate and complete copies of records in both human readable and electronic form suitable for inspection. Okay, I'm not talking about the metadata which is not able to readable. When you see, when you click the data, result data, to click and open after completion of analysis also, once you saved the data, maybe 2 days, 3 days after, you can open and click the data. Human readable, it should be human readable, which means that it should not be a different computer language data, which is not in the readable format. Okay, that is the human readable, which means it is data can be readable for particular intended results. UV data, I can able to see the UV nanometer settings, everything. So that is electronic version of the human readable form. Okay, suitable for inspection, review, and copying by the agency, which means during the inspection, they will come and stand in front of the software. They will try to open it. They will try to delete it. They will try to review, copy all your parameters, whatever you are intended to do. They will ask you to demonstrate in front of them. They won't touch the computer, okay, because they never do that, because they will be cautious in handling them. Okay, because sometimes if they do something, it got deleted, then the problem will be for them, right? So that's why, because of your proper lack of proper settings, if they want to try, it happens sometimes. Okay, if they want to try to delete it, okay, you didn't put a proper fixing of the deleting control. If they delete it, will definitely delete. Sometimes it can be retrievable from the backup or from the recycle bin. Sometimes it will not do that, okay, because of the further settings in the systems. So persons should contact the agency if there are any questions regarding the ability of the agency to perform such review, copying of the electronic data. So if they want, they can contact the agency as well for any kind of support as well. So protection of data, protection of records by ready retrieval. Protection of records to enable their accurate and ready retrieval throughout the record retention period. Let's take an example. If you want to keep this data for next 5 to 10 years or 20 years, it depends. Okay, till that time, for example, if you're doing a medical device and you have some part which has been always going to be in the body, Okay, you don't know, right? It will be like for 20 years, it will be the body. So that kind of data should be retrieved for the that much period. So that is very important. Okay, so it's completely depend on the shelf life of the product, how long it is going to be in the human body. Maybe it's a drug, it will be for the shelf life of the drug, maybe 2 years, 5 years, whatever may be. But if it's going to be a medical device, it's going to be placed inside the human for a long time. Accordingly, you have to define the retention period. Since it's all the electronic record and people are having more huge capacity of storage capacity, so obviously people are not discarding the data, they are retrieving and keeping. Limiting test system access, of course, as I discussed, only the authorized people can access. It's not like a college environment or university that multiple access will be given. So always it will be limited. So one person, one access. Okay, maybe it is, you can, the multiple people can use, but within their own logins. Okay, because it can be traceable who has done, what has done, how has done. Audit trail will capture all the data. If suppose the same person is using multiple login, then you can't even trace out, right? Who has done. If there is a common password, common name, we don't know, all data will be captured in the audit trail. And who is the person really use this common? Whether person A or person B or person C, we don't know. So that's why usually the unique password and unique login will be definitely used. So there is a lot of upgradation in the IT to handle those things. One software, but it can be used by the multiple users. So everything will be coming in that way, because that has been controlled through the Windows login. So Windows login will be given individually so that they can able to trace that. They will interconnect the Windows login to the system login as well, software login, because you can't keep, if you are working with 20 instruments, you can't able to keep 20 instruments password in your mind. Sometimes if you're regularly using, you can keep, but for example, if I'm using after 2 to 3 weeks, I may forget the password, right? So that's why they integrate with the Windows login password with the software login password. So that is them, okay, that will be the same password will be used multiple times. And password resetting will be given, prompting for every 3 months, every 6 months, whatever, based on the requirement, okay, based on the criticality as well. Audit trail, the very important topic in the field, because this gives a lot of information about the complete scenario of the testing or complete scenario of the process. Material management system. If you take an audit trail from day 1 to day 2, that will give what all happened in that particular day. Who has logged in, what he has done. If suppose they change the quantity from 5,000 grams to 1,000 grams, okay, they will be writing some details. This batch, this 4,000 gram has been used for this particular batch. So that is the data generation. That will be also in the format of report, also in the format of audit trail, because during that phase you'll be giving the user login and credential to authenticate that exercise, authenticate that step. That will be captured. Use of secure computer generated timestamp, very, very important. Timestamping is very important. For example, when we have in the Google form, we have a timestamp. Okay, so we know that whether it has been what time this data has been come. So we experience now, we have duplicate entries. Okay, we filter that entry and we'll see, okay, which is the right best one. So that way it is working. Okay, and record changes shall not obscure previously recorded information, which means that should not overwrite or hide or completely delete the previous record. Always there should be a old entry and the new entry. That is the basic of the audit trail, right? What is being changed from to old, new, previous, new, whatever may be the differentiation the government means the software will provide you. Okay, and sorry. Meeting will be by 12 o'clock. Yeah. So such audit trail documentation shall be retained for a period at least as long as that required for the subject electronic records and shall be available for agency review and copy. So audit trail is very, very important. That is needed for the data verification process internally as well as from the regulatory as well. Operation check. Okay, this is something related to the software. I think whatever I gave the example is also here. Use of operational system checks to enforce permitted sequencing of steps and events as appropriate. So there should be a chronological sequence, okay, flow as per the testing sequence. It should not be jumping from step 1 to step 2 or step 3 or step like that. So it should be a sequential step. So your software should prompt in such a way the step 3 or 4 should not be enabled, okay, which means after completion of step 1, step 2 only should be enabled. That is the control in the software development. That is the expertise and user-friendly environmental will come from the software development. If suppose you are able to do the step 4 in the first step, then there is a mismatch in the flow, right? So that is the controls, operational check controls. Okay, Empower 3 is the software name used for the Waters HPLC. Waters is the company. HPLC is the instrument. Empower 3 is the software provided to them. Uses wizards to ensure proper sequencing. So there will be a wizards, a kind of a display. New project, processing method, sample set method wizard, backup project, restore project. This makes you directly go to the, if a person wants to do a backup, he goes to directly to the backup. If the person wants to restore, he directly go to the restore. So this is the splitting of the process. Okay, apart from the sequence in the testing, this is the splitting of the process where the person who is very focused with the backup project directly go to that. New project means something you have to develop a new methods, processing method. So already defined processing method. Sample, you will be running the sample set in that method. Okay, so this is a graphical or maybe a pictorial representation in the software. It is the accessibility as well. Authority check, I think we discussed about that. This is an example, username, and also the password will be given, and database. Which database you, oh sorry, now it's popping up for you guys. Authority check. So we discussed about this, right? About the username and password, and sometimes there will be a database, which domain you can able to access. So these are all preset. The domain may be preset based on your limitation. Sometimes if it is a global organization, you may be accessing multiple global area. If it is a local, then you can access a particular area. So this is the authority check, means entering, permitting inside the use of the software. Device check, I think we already described a lot in that part, like connecting the printer or any other accessories. Sometimes you may be connecting as well the any other add-on testing parameters also. Temperature monitoring. Okay, for example, there will be an add-on connection where you have to plug the temperature sensor with a suitable port and then do the testing. So that is a device check. Whether the main instrument is been talking with the add-on instruments or add-on accessories. That can be anything, pH testing, temperature monitoring, or maybe a printer, whatever may be your additional add-on accessories. Education training, of course, we discussed on that. Everyone will be provided with the proper education on this activities, either in the form of protocol or in the form of procedures. Whatever the documentation practice is a training part. Written policies, again, it's similar. Complete data how to perform the activities. Establishment or adherence to written policies that holds individuals accountable and responsible for actions. Okay, initiated under the electronic signature in order to determine record and signature falsification. So people will be very careful in the usage. Sometimes there will be a statement. You hope you might have seen somewhere, many softwares as well. When you are signing, written policy shall be party of user account open with the user sign and statement. Okay, there will be a statement that I am accountable and responsible for the action initiated under my electronic signature. Okay, this will prompt automatically with multiple, so that what he will do is like whatever you have done, whether you approved the document or reviewed the document. Okay, so that will be established. Okay, so that will be you're authenticating the data. That is the place where you will be providing the information. What you are providing, whether you are approving the document. Sometimes you can see that, right? When you're putting the electronic signature in the PDF file, it will ask whether you are reviewer or approver. So this is the one. Documentation, use of appropriate controls over system documents, including such as adequate controls over the distribution to access to and use of documentation for systems operation and maintenance. Okay, so this is very important. Documentation should have a proper information and retrieval, everything. Revision and change control procedure to maintain an audit trail that documents time sequence development and modification of system documentation. So that is always important. Yeah, there should be audit trail and revision controls, everything should be there, which includes distribution of access, annexure, system operation and maintenance log, revision procedure, change control procedure, audit trail with the time sequence. So all these are maybe a procedure or protocol or reports generated from the software or the validation protocols, what we are going to perform. Everything has been complying to the good documentation practice as well. So controls for open system. So when you have an open system, okay, how to control the open system, which means it's flexible for multi-users, right? Persons who use open system to create, modify, maintain, or transmit electronic records shall employ procedures and controls designed to ensure authenticity, integrity, and as appropriate, the confidentiality of electronic records. So multiple users should have all these controls from the point of their creation till the end, which means from developing the process, they given the factory setting, right? Then you start your development, your customization, configuration. These are the words will be used. Okay, configuration, customization. Okay, to the point of the receipt. So start till the report generation, retrievable, data backup, everything completely come in this data life cycle. Okay, electronic data life cycle. Such procedures and controls shall include those identified in 11.10 as appropriate and additional measures such as document encryption, which means the security. Once you lock it, no one can tamper the document. Okay, only the once you lock it, you will be having a password to open it, so it won't be accessible to multiple users. Any confidential data will be protected with the encryption. It's a kind of protection. Use of appropriate digital signature as well. Standards to ensure as necessary under the circumstances. Record authenticity, integrity, and confidentiality. So now coming about the signature manifestation, which is signed electronic records shall contain information associated with the signing that clearly indicates all of the following, which means print name of the signer. Okay, maybe printed name can be there. If they want to disclose the name, sometimes they will write their employee ID, because for example, there are two persons with the same name, then there should be a confusion, right? But employee ID will be unique. So sometimes employee ID and name also together will come. So this is the it's once again the company policy, which kind of best system they can adopt in their within their organization. Date and time when the signature was executed. Anytime it can be a paper record or a digital record. Anytime if you're signing, that should be associated with the date. Of course, since it's a digital version, obviously it will take time as well. In paper record, we can't able to write time. If you sign it in the morning or evening, whatever, it's signed on the same day. Okay, there is some flexibility in the paper record. But when it comes to electronic, that will capture the date and time as well with the seconds. Okay, that also we can set. I want to DDMMYYY or DDMMMYYYY. Okay, and HHMMSS or HHMM alone, hours and minute alone, or even seconds. So people will select the default. It will be come with MMHHSS with including seconds. So this is the traceability for you. At this particular time, you have completed the review or preparation or approval, whatever may be. The meaning of the signature is what? Either you reviewed or approved or responsible or authored associated with the signature. So that that information also will be there when we select you as a reviewer in the privileges. automatically that will pick the word reviewed by. Okay, you can customize that word as well, reviewed or checked or verified. These are the different words, right? The company will follow. So there will be some software limitation. Software will already fix the word reviewed by, then you have to follow the same word. If they're given some flexibility in the field, you can alter the field. Items identified in paragraph, I think the above 1, 2, 3 of this section shall be subjected to the same control as for electronic records, shall be included as a part of any human readable form of the electronic record, such as electronic display or printout. So whether in an electronic record or in after the printout, that should reproduce that information. So it should be in a human readable form, because we are talking nowadays about this save the paper, save the trees. So everything moving towards the electronic version, because what is the use if I have electronic data and taking a printout again? So I am duplicating the work, right? The same data which is available in the electronic version, which is a human readable form, why I have to take a printout again? That's become a duplicate work and piling up of data through a paper records, and no use. So that's why nowadays the paper printing is getting reduced, which means anytime it should be in a human readable form in the electronic version as well. That is, you're completing the analysis or the process and convert it into the final stage, and that should be in the readable form. Behind the scene, behind the database, there will be a lot of records in the electronic format which we can't able to open sometimes. Even if you're able to open, you can't able to read what is really written into that. Okay, it will be in a different format. Okay, so that's why we used to have a human readable form in the electronic records. So when auditor comes, you don't want to take a printout. Just open the laptop and share the screen for them to see. Signature, record linking, of course, as we told, review, approve, everything is linked to the record. Signature, electronic signature and handwritten signature executed to the electronic records shall be linked to the respective electronic records to ensure the signature cannot be excised, copied, or otherwise transferred to falsify any electronic record by ordinary means. So anything, for example, handwritten signature, sometimes nowadays we have a flexibility in digital. You can have your handwritten signature copy in a picture and we can save it as well. Okay, so that cannot be hacked or accessed by the falsification persons. Okay, they can't able to retrieve your hand signature image and they can use it. So this is all for the security purpose. Okay, how best you are taking the security of your banking sector. For example, your banking controls, securities in the banking. A similar way it's been treated in the pharma industry because of the product safety. There, our money safety, because we may lose money. So very high level IT security system is going behind the banking sector because it's a huge amount is behind that, right? So even 1 rupee a person can able to hack and take it. If he does for the worldwide, he will become in one night he become a billionaire, right? So this is the falsification and lack of controls. General requirements, unique. I told about what is uniqueness. That should be not be a common password or common access usernames. It should be unique. So how we can make it unique? Your employee ID will be a unique component, so that you can able to use as your username. That will be always unique. Verify the identity before an organization establish, assigns, certifies, or otherwise sanction an individual's electronic signature or any element such as electronic signature. The organization shall verify the identity of the individual. You have to be given a lot of information, because that will be the backend tracing for them to identify you. Okay, something like our Aadhaar card, right? You have given your biometrics, iris scan, and all the finger scans, everything, right? So that is the backend identification, but the front end will be your number. So once we put the number, okay, it's a unique number. In the backend, you have all the traceability of yours, right? Similarly, verify the identity at the time of joining that activity done by the HR. So similar to our Aadhaar practice, the HR will take all the database of yours, including your communication address or maybe a permanent address, your passport details, your Aadhaar card details, everything, whatever, as much as the HR department can able to retrieve. So then that will be linked in the database. For vendor and service agreement need to be clarification. Okay, that's nothing. Certify to the agency. Person who is using electronic signature shall appear or to or at the time of such use certify to the agencies. Electronic signature in the system used on or before. So in the 1997 or means recently, right? This concept has been established. Okay, so there was a system that whoever is responsible with the electronic signature, that information should be given to the authority agencies. Why? They will be responsible for the batch release. Okay, that data will be given to them. Because, for example, if I nominated a batch releasing person and tomorrow if I use another person to batch release, that will be indicating that this is an unknown person coming to the batch release for this X company. There may be some kind of anti-counterfeit drug is coming. Okay, you have to, if any kind of change is happened to that authority, sorry, to the person, for example, the person left the organization, obviously you have to intimate that through a proper record. This person will be removed from the service from this date, and this person will be newly updated, authorized person. But this is in a purpose of release activities, because company should know that who is the person who is made the company for release, to avoid the counterfeit drugs in the market. The certification shall be submitted in the paper form and signed with the traditional hand signature. Of course, this is for the submission of the data to that company, so to the agency. Sorry, person using electronic signature shall, upon agency request, provide additional certification or testimony that a specific electronic signature is legally binding, equivalent to the signer's handwritten signature. So it is something like, if I sign electronically, that is equivalent to the hand signature. Okay, you are accepting that content, whatever you have been electronically signing, is also equally accepted as my hand signature. That is the content. Electronic signature components and controls. Non-biometric. Okay, electronic signatures are not based upon biometric. Shall. Biometric means some other identification. For example, you go to your college and you give your biometric. That is your individuality, right? Employee, if not, that is not there. Employee at least two distinct identification, such as an identification code and password. So your code and password, that is two level of controls. If you have a biometric, you don't have the code as well as your password, because your biometric is 100% confident that you are the person given the data, the biometric data. Eye scan, same. So it is the confirmation that you are there inside the in the college or the organization. If suppose you don't have the biometric data, then obviously you have to go with the identification code. Okay, there will be username and the password. When an individual executes a series of signing during a single continuous period of control system access, the first signing shall be executed using all electronic signature components. Subsequent signing shall be executed using at least one electronic signature. This is usually in a practice, right? Once you open the your login, okay, there will be username and password. Later, if you get locked, okay, after 15 minutes, that is very important, right? After 15 minutes, the system should get locked, because it prevents the usage of unauthorized users. So that's the reason you have that 15 minutes lock. Okay, you know that is a basic, but that is a validation importance here, because you are avoiding the third person to access your login. Once you come back, you refresh it, or you click to start the activity, you will be getting only the password. Your login username will be remaining there, but you are supposed to give only the password. That is the one which is asking that. In case in between any sequence of activity, or if you are coming back and doing the same activity, in that case you should go with the one level access is enough. That is the meaning here. Now, electronic signature components and control. When an individual executes an operation or more signings not performed by a single continuous repeated period of controlled system access, each signing shall be executed using all the same electronic component, which means every time you have to use the same process, which means your unique password should be used. One should not have multiple usage. One should not have multiple username or password. So that's the uniqueness again. Be used only by the genuine users. So only the genuine users should use this. Tell about that the user should have only the single use of their single identity for their username and logins. Okay, that is very important. Multiple IDs cannot be given for the same user. Be administered and executed to ensure that attempted use of an individual electronic signature by anyone other than its genuine owner requires collaboration of 2 or more individuals. Okay, so sometimes there will be 2 or 3 individuals also should be participating. The system should be there. For example, I am an analyst by, I done an analysis. It will go and stay in the reviewed by basket. So after I log in closure, then when the time is there for the reviewer, he will open the system and access that data for the reviewing process. Okay, so that is the way the reviewed by and done by, reviewed by, or done by, checked by, analyzed by, or reviewed by will operate. So more than one genuine owners can be collaboratively performing the activity for the same data, but the permission should be provided for that. Electronic signature compliance and control. We discussed about the biometrics, so that gives a control. Electronic signature based on biometrics shall be designed to ensure that they cannot be used by anyone other than the genuine user. So this is the full control we can implement. Control for identification and password, which means username and password. It should be unique. It should not be shared to anyone. These are all the controls you can apply. Persons who use electronic signatures based upon use of identification codes in combination with passwords shall employ controls to ensure their security and integrity, which means you should have the control. You should not be sharing the password. No one should know the password. This is a very bad habit sometimes. People will be having that if I'm on leave, please go and access my login and please do this activity for me because that is urgent. My boss is asking. Yes, if you done that, what is the consequence? You are not at the premises, and suppose how they know you are not at the premises by the biometric record. Okay, you are not inside the premises, it will be identified. Sometimes you do some exercise, a very small exercise inside the organization. The auditors, the inspectors will map the data that you are not entered into the organization on the particular day because your entry is missing, your biometric is missing. Okay, but on the same day, how it is possible you are accessing the data? So this is a serious non-conformance, which means the data, the password and identification code is shared and it has been misused. The purpose of misuse may be a very low level use, okay, but the concept, the principle is bad, which means for this low level itself you are using this kind of methodology. How about the critical issues? Obviously you will do this kind of methodology, right? So this is the worry in the industry and to the authorities as well, how best we can create the quality mindset, quality culture. As a few minutes back, I told that saying no is very important, right? Sometimes you have to challenge yourself that yes, I can do, but how it is being addressed. But first of all, you should not accept, but how it is addressed, because there is always a system which watches. There is no any loopholes. If I'm not in the office, there is no my attendance, there is no my biometric scanning. How I can do this activity? So this is a wrong practice. Voluntarily, a person should come forward and tell, since I'm not in the organization, you can't ask my username and password, even if it's a superior, even he's a vice president of the company. You have a right to tell that because this is your own individuality, right? He's accessing. Will you be able to give your bank login and credentials to them if they ask like that? No, because it's our money. So we should be responsible. Okay, of course you can share within your family. That's a different story. But still, it's your own control. You can't able to give to the third person because they may misuse, right? So that is the same level of kind of strictness is needed in the industry as well. So uniqueness, we know that everything should be controlled. There should not be any duplication in the identification, and same control of identification codes. So code and password periodically checked, which means automatically driven, that you have to change the password once it's aged, right? 30 days. If it's a very critical password, people will keep for 30 days. If it's less critical, it will be 60 days or 90 days, whatever maybe, based on the criticality. Loss management, following loss management procedure of to electronically deauthorize lost, stolen, missing, or otherwise potentially compromised token cards and other device that bear or generate identification code or password information, to issue a temporary or permanent replacement suiting suitable redress. So anything which has been not working properly or lost or stolen or missing, there should be a alternative way we can do a manual recording system to identify. Let's take an example. I missed the ID card, access card to the organization. Okay, so it happens, right? Because it's normal. Sometimes you forget. You thought you kept in the bag, but you left somewhere. Something goes wrong like that. So in that case, what is the alternative solution? So there will be always a form from the HR stating that I missed the form today. The reason for the missing of ID card. Sometimes you lost. You don't know where it is lost. So the access card is lost. You have to claim that my access card is lost. Please give me the new card. So these are all the checklists will be there in the HR form. So you have to fill it, and that witness that you physically present in the organization. Of course, you don't have the access data. Digital data is not there. So come back to our one discussion. I told that you are not in the office and you are doing some malpractice through the sharing of the code. Now you are not in the office by electronic data, which means you don't have the access entry, but you physically present inside the organization. What witness that? Your entry record witness that through this form which you filled with the reason why you don't have the form, why you don't have the access card, because you misplaced or lost, whatever may be the reason, but you present inside the organization from this time to this time. Okay, that is the record will be supporting for you. If anyone asks, first record is going to be checked by the electronic data. Yes, electronic data is not showing you the reference, but how you present inside. Immediately, the next step you have to verify this paper record. So that is the loss management. So there should be a alternative way to access the situation. Okay, we can't leave it. Okay, you lost the card, go in and make yourself do the activity without any other controls. So that will be a loss of data for you. You miss the data, right? So I hope you understand the logics. See, the complete computer system validation or pharma science is a logic. Okay, common sense. There is a logic behind that. Controls similarly, safeguard to prevent unauthorized. So use of transaction safeguard to prevent unauthorized use of passwords and or identification codes, and to detect or report in an immediate or urgent manner in any attempts at their unauthorized use. So sometimes back I told that if suppose someone wants to try your password, okay, they will be keep 5 times, 10 times, they guess your password and they will put that. Okay, but by the time you are not present in the organization, or even if you present, that time you are involved in some other activity. So that is the way you have to be very careful in getting the data in the audit trial. Sometimes audit trial will tell you will be working in a different room, okay, where different activity will be performed. But someone in your absence try to, fiddle with the username and password to get something access to delete or whatever may be some personal intention probably. Okay, so this will be recorded as an unauthorized entry in the audit trial, and someone who is verifying the audit trial will come and ask why you have done a wrong password. You know the password, why it has been done. So it will be obviously understood that you have not done, but someone entered this unauthorized. Okay, that will indicate a suspicion that someone is playing with your data, means with your identification code and password for some reason. So then the investigation starts. Who has done? Why to do that? So it's easy to identify because nowadays there are CCTV cameras are there, everything. If they connect the CCTV time and the equipment audit trial time, they will easily get the information who has played the situation there to manipulate or tamper the data. So everything is a controlled manner nowadays because of the upgradation of the technologies. A few years back, there is no CCTV systems, right? So you can't able to tell what really happened at that time. But now the complete world is under the CCTV. Okay, so you can't escape from any kind of misuse. Periodic testing of device, of course, you have to verify that it is doing its intended use. So that is the periodic testing of device. Okay, good automation manufacturing practice. This is very, very important. Our complete CSV training will be a backbone of this good automated manufacturing practice. They developed a very strict rules and regulation in this guidelines. Okay, what it's not a regulation, but it's a guideline. Why it is called as a guideline? There are multiple softwares are there, SCADA system is there, HMI is there. Still, it is not in a matured state. Even the regulatory people, because now we are coming up with the mobile medical apps. Okay, I think I made some 10 to 15 internship titles with the mobile medical apps concepts, everything. So that's the way we are moving forward. So you can control the delivery system, drug delivery system through the mobile apps. So now that is the technology is going on. It's all high-end technology. So I want your awareness in that. That's why we have that kind of internship data in the titles in the internship for you guys. Okay, so I'm just sharing the knowledge. Artificial intelligence. These are all coming up new technologies. Definitely next 10 years, somewhere definitely this will be launched. Okay, so you or ourselves will be together monitoring all these functionalities and validation activities in future. So how we are getting the knowledge on these basic data, that is very important. Okay, so please pay attention on the GAMP. This is a paid version. Again, you will not get easily in the internet. This is a paid version. The person has to register themselves in the this ISP non-profit organization by paying, and for every document they have to pay and collect. The top companies like Johnson & Johnson or Eli Lilly or maybe AstraZeneca, Novartis, they all have the paid website, paid access for all their database. So when you are in the organization, obviously you'll be getting the information all which is being told in this topic, in this document. Okay, it is launched. GAMP5 was launched in 2008. GAMP5 means version 5. GAMP4 is the older one. 3 is a little old, and 2008 is also still old for us because we are now in 2021, right? But still, last these many years, we are surviving with the same concept, same written rules. The reason, the dynamic state of automation is going, because today I fix some guideline, but tomorrow that is getting outdated and we are coming up with a new concept. So this upgradation is not stabilized yet. Okay, this upgradation is very, very dynamically moving in a steep way. So there is no saturation point yet we have received. So that's why the time taken is more, because once you fit the guideline now, tomorrow it's getting outdated, because the software languages are getting immediately changed, right? So that is the situation. Now we are in the disruptive technology. Okay, immediately something is going, getting boomed up, and immediately something is going down. So this is a very unstabilized phase. But once we reach to the maturity of that particular access of automated process into the system, then that maturity will come in the documentation as well. Now we are talking about artificial intelligence. Okay, so I have few topics also in artificial intelligence, how you can integrate into the pharma industry. Okay, I made a very good concept of artificial intelligence. We are trying to make that a product in future. Okay, which will solve very key activity in the future. So that needs a lot of investment and technical team. Even I discussed with few of the VIT principal investigators or key persons how to deploy this software in the market. Okay, I done at a very high level team how we can do this, because we need a very experts from this field, right? Like machine learning and artificial intelligence. So when you guys have been taught in this process, obviously you'll be having some projects should be done with the concept of what is this called, artificial intelligence. You guys are now a science background guys, probably someone maybe from IT background as well, but definitely you should coordinate with the different mindset people or different domain people as well, which means that you have to talk to your friends who is very best in the artificial intelligence. Hey, we have something like this, how best you can support, this is our concept, can we able to work out together to come up with a new product. It may be a very small app, even still how best you are stepping up in the next level. Okay, now you'll be talking about something on the very premature, very simplified one-step data to provide the database. Okay, but in future that will be giving you more information. Okay, you will be refining that and going toward the entrepreneurship skill. Okay, you develop your own software, launch in the market, which is having good value. Obviously, that will be immediately taken by some top companies. Okay, like Google or someone like Alphabet or whoever wants that technology. Even the pharma industry, Novartis, Pfizer, if they are interested in the product, okay, they will definitely take that kind of product for their routine use. So this is the way you can think alternatively, differently, and that is the thing you will be having in your mindset. Okay, to get something doing different things, right? Perfect. And I think this is going to be the last slide. The practices, what really the GAMP talks about. Quality by design is a central principle of GAMP. So anything you're designing for the automation process should be driven through the quality. Okay, data, you have to be in a position wherever the important data is needed, you will collect it. So who will be required for this subject matter expert? Who is having a science background and a computer science system background. Then you can easily connect with your development team. Okay, you can speak to the development team. No, our guidelines or regulation says that in this portion, if it's a critical, you know that we'll put a asterisk, right? Like required fields will be popped up with critical asterisks, which means it's required mandatory fields. That is called mandatory fields. So you can dictate that this field is a mandatory field because you have the basic knowledge of science as well, the manufacturing as well. So there is a huge opening for science graduates also in the IT industry for the life science domain, not for the banking domain. Okay, for the life science domain, because you give the you gain the knowledge in the industry with some certain process. That process is going to get automated. For example, visual inspection. Okay, so if they want to design a software for the visual inspection, you know the complete end-to-end process manually. So that want to convert it to the visual inspection automated process. Your manual data, manual day in day out activities, what you're doing, the software people should know. Who will know that? Definitely, the software people should be not aware of that. Only the expert will know. Yes, we want this kind of. These are all the regulations. These are all the industrial practices. These are all the expectations. Okay, all this data should be converted in the coding by the coders. You can't be a coder. You can't be a developer. You can't be a tester. If you are coding, who is better? Coder is better or tester is better? I feel once you get the coding knowledge, you will be happy. Yes, I can able to do a very good coding, but you become a coder. The word coder is always given to you because you are generating the code alone, but you are not thinking the concepts. Who is the tester? Tester is a one step ahead. After doing the codes, he know the mistakes of the codes. So he is matured in the coding. So he become a tester. So once he become a tester, he will be reviewing your coding. So he's doing a verification job. You are a doer. He is a checker. So you don't want to type all the thousands of coding. You just go and run, take a tool to identify the coding mistakes, fix the code. That's it. And even you won't fix the code. You will highlight the mistakes of the code, and it will be given back to the team to again fix it, because they should know the mistakes, what has happened, right? So this is the process of coder, developer or coder, and tester and validator. It's completely in the software industry. Now you are a science graduate. You know the concept of the each individual process, and you know the concept of application of the computerized system. You know the concept where we have to have the, because you know the now the regulations, right? So you know, I need the, if I have a biometrics access, I don't want to have a user ID and password access, because my regulation is given me the permission. I can go ahead with the eye scan or biometric scan. If this is not in place, then only I need a double control, which means the user ID and the password control. So you can dictate the flow of software usage, access, or functionalities, everything for the customization of new software. So you will be getting a position to work in the life science domain, medical device, including the medical devices, a position where you can guide to create a software. Okay, this is your growth in this field. Okay, that's why I'm very much interested. People should think about the computer system validation scope, because we can't able to develop you a developer here, because we are from the pharmaceutical or maybe the medical device background guys, right? So we can educate you what is the options in the industry. Okay, coding definitely will be, you have to learn if you are very much interested in the coding, but there is a expertise people to give you the coding knowledge. Okay, but as I mentioned, you can't be master of all, right? You can't be the master in all the game. If you are playing a cricket, if you want to be a bowler, you have to be a bowler alone, right? You can't do a batter. All-rounder is there, but still there is a limitation. Okay, so if you want to be all-rounder, you should be an entrepreneur, so that you can be a concept designer. You can develop your own concept. You can implement your own concepts. Okay, so this is the mindset you have to keep in always, that there is always the opportunities in this field, in medical device as well as clinical as well as pharmaceutical industries. Okay, for now we are done with the morning session. It's a very initial discussion and about these concepts and the CSV requirements. We'll catch you by 3 o'clock, and I hope you have received the technical query form. If not, we will share it to the team. Okay, so in case of any technical queries, you can always welcome to write it. Okay, and also we already have a list of titles for the internship as well for the CSV opted students. So for me, the topics are very interesting for me, because artificial intelligence as well as mobile medical app technology, what is being in the market as of now. So it's a deep review literature, or can be a concept you can come up in the internship title. Okay, it's if anything you have of your own interest, you have your own idea, definitely you can share with us, and you can start writing the internship on that path also. Okay, you have your own idea of development, something like that. Okay, so this is very flexible for you guys. You can give your own idea, and we have our own list of internship titles also. We will forward for the computer system validation group who has chosen this. Okay, and you have probably maybe 1 or 2 days will be given for you guys, and please take one at a time, which means not a grouping, because here only we have 16-member team or 18-member team is there here, and we can easily give each one each title. Okay, so don't get messed up, and don't take the same title for more than one person. Okay, 18 people, we can get 18 different titles. That's really possible. If you have your own title, I'm always welcoming you. Share that and create your own presentation. And I think in the very first class we discussed about this internship. The same title will be used also for the presentation. So we will be sharing you the template where you can use that as your model based template for preparing all these presentations. Okay, so if you have any queries, you have now go with your chat box, throw some queries so that we'll be ready for answering. And always there is another technical query form where you can share your queries will be addressed to all of you guys. Once I receive the queries, as I mentioned in the very first class, don't be asking some silly questions even, because this is the time you can ask any kind of questions. Okay, because you are in the very initial stage. The same question you can't ask after 3 to 4 years of experience. Okay, but now you are fresher, you have all rights to ask any kind of clarification for you guys. Okay, technical clarification, please ask about only the technical related clarification, so that it will be easy for us to handle the query form. So where from we can get these slides? Of course, we will be sharing all these modules. Once we complete the class, we have a platform to share through WhatsApp group, or we'll be sharing the presentation, as well as this video has been recorded, and this will be streamed in the YouTube channel, so that you can access from there. Because what we felt is better to have instead of going to the cloud management, YouTube will be the better option, so that anytime you can be accessing this data. Because we are planning to have a very long-term association with you guys, because our idea is that you are the future in the business. Okay, pharmaceutical business. Someone may go for higher studies. Okay, of course, you took your direction towards the pharmaceutical or biotech or whatever may be the life science field. Of course, someone may be taking care of your own business even. That's secondary. But since right now we decide that you have chosen this platform, so that obviously you will be going to the higher studies in this platform, related to this platform, and future your job opportunities lies in this platform. You become an entrepreneurship, but of course you're going to do something with these technologies, right? So that is the purpose. We are creating a long-term association. Maybe next 30, 40 years also we'll be working together. Somewhere we'll be joining for some kind of opportunities. If I need some opportunities, I can able to ask you. Suppose if you need some support, you can always ask us. Okay, this is an association. It's not going to be get stopped maybe in after the course completion or after your certification process. It's going to be an integration kind of long-term association to give and take our knowledge, as well as to grow up together in the industry. Okay, the ultimate aim is to grow up together in the industry. Okay, thanks guys. If you have any more clarities, please you are open to chat now, and if you can raise your hands for any verbal communication, of course you're allowed to raise your hands, so that we will open your voice, so that we can discuss it. Any doubts? If you have any doubts,